You can deal with pretty much any unexpected decisions that players throw at you by knowing and understanding these 12 core quest types. These are the building blocks of basically every adventure. And once you know them, it's way easier to improvise and feel more prepared when your players go totally off the rails. So today, we're diving into the 12 go-to quest types that DMs should know, so when your players ditch the main plot to go after a talking rooster, you're not stalling, you're thriving. Okay, so are there exactly 12 types of quests out there? Probably not. Could we argue about it for 6 hours with strangers who have Pepe the Frog avatars and way too much free time? Absolutely. But I won't, because I value my time and sanity. What I will say though is that there are probably 3 big quest category umbrellas that most of these quests fall under, with like a bunch more subtypes that fit inside. And first up, we have the one that we've probably all used at one point or another, the ubiquitous fetch quest. This one's simple. Go get a thing and bring it back. That's it. They're not complicated, and that's intentional. These quests are really great early on in a campaign where players are still figuring out their characters, their abilities, and how to work as a group. It's the D&D equivalent of a tutorial level. They're low pressure, they have clear goals, and it's a built-in excuse to go explore the world. They're also super handy when a party ends up in a new or strange area of the world. A fetch quest gives them a reason to talk to NPCs, learn the terrain, and get their footing a bit before diving into more story-altering type of things. But if all your players ever do is fetch, your game's gonna start to feel a little bit like a fantasy version of DoorDash. These types of quests can get boring very quickly. That's why it's particularly crucial for these ones to layer in some but and therefore moments, twists, consequences, rewards, or complications that make it feel like they're in a living, breathing world. And I go deeper into this technique in another video, I'll link to it below. But for example, say your players need to retrieve an old family heirloom for an elderly noble NPC in the village. But maybe the person who had it has gone missing. Or maybe it turns out the heirloom was cursed and now they're possessed. Or if the party successfully fetches it, maybe you'll have a therefore, like, this heirloom turns out to be what allows them to become a lich. Or they're so thankful for the player's help that they give them a super valuable magic item. You get the idea. The more you twist it, the less it feels like a negligible side chore you've given them. But while fetch quests can be pretty all-encompassing, there are 2 subtypes that are worth covering on their own merit. The first being escort quests. No, stop, not that kind. You just take a fetch quest, but replace the item with a person. Boom! This involves the players getting an NPC from point A to point B without letting them die a painful death, or get kidnapped by a vampire lord, or any other version of the horrible ending that can happen. Again, you see these everywhere, and for good reason. Escort quests are great for introducing players to new territories, or nudging them out of areas that are getting a bit stale. But they're also super useful for introducing different factions, cultures, or ongoing plot threads. That NPC they're escorting, they're not just dead weight. They can be a walking info dump, but like the good kind. Maybe they know the political landscape of the big city. Maybe they've seen a monster that nobody else has. Maybe they've got beef with another faction, and now your players are caught right in the middle of it. There's always a reason this NPC needs protection. And that reason is your opportunity to drop world building, lore, and actionable plot hooks right into the party's lap. Then we have delivery quests. These are fetch quests in reverse. You start with the object, and the challenge is getting it to where it needs to go. Again, other than giving the player something relatively easy to accomplish, these are great for bringing your party new places and introducing them to new people. This is another type of quest that's perfect for when you want to give your party a clear, low-friction type of goal to head towards, but one that still opens up a ton of world-building potential. They're especially great for encouraging more cautious or reward-hungry players to step into more dangerous areas, because now they have a mission, a reward, and a reason to go do that. There's a ton of different ways to add complications and twists to these, doubly so if it's a sealed package or envelope that they're delivering, because now there's the built-in intrigue of what's in the package, why is it important, and what happens if they lose it, or maybe even open it. Suddenly, this simple delivery can turn into this branching web of choices, risks, and complications. So think of this particular one as a story catalyst. A delivery quest can easily become the spoke that connects to a ton of different types of adventures. The next core quest archetype is the most open-ended and diverse of the archetypes, the discovery quest. These are all about exploration and uncovering something that the players, or even the world, didn't know before. They're perfect for pulling players deep into your world. Its histories, its mysteries, and the weird stuff that nobody understands yet. Discovery quests expand not just what your players know, but also who they know. They're all about exploration, investigation, and peeling back layers of story. Unlike fetch quests, these are usually significantly less linear. And that's the point. But that also means that on the other hand, sometimes they can feel a little aimless. So to keep the party invested, it helps to add some sort of time crunch or an emotional hook. Something that makes this particular mystery matter right now. And that's because for a lot of these quests, the revelation of information is the real reward, not XP or loot. This makes them a fantastic tool for tying in character backstories, inserting major campaign lore, or as stepping stones towards big, world-shifting reveals that heighten the sense of adventure. So anytime you want your players to learn something meaningful about the world or the place that they're in, the people they meet, or the larger mystery that you're building towards, discovery quests are your best friend. One of the most instantly recognizable types of discovery quests is the investigation quest. These are all about uncovering the truth behind a mystery. A murder, a missing person, a weird magical event, or just that creepy shrieking that comes from the woods in the middle of the night that nobody will talk about. Quests in this category are about hunting for information, connecting dots, questioning NPCs, and making deductions. Terribly, terribly incorrect deductions. But what makes these quests really shine is having the mystery actually matter to the players. Make it something related to one of their allies, to a town they love, or to a screw-up that they're desperately trying to obscure. So don't just kill off some random noble and expect your party to care. Kill the innkeeper who always gives them free soup. That will make them feel significantly more invested. If a magical experiment goes wrong, why not tie it to someone's mentor or a player's backstory secret? These quests are great for when you want more roleplay, intrigue, or moments for the party to just feel like clever little detectives. Just remember that dead ends here kill momentum. If they botch an interrogation, don't give them nothing. Give them bad intel or good intel with a cost. So yeah, they learned the truth, but now the assassin that they just found out about knows that they know, you know? And the best part, investigation quests are perfect for spiraling into even bigger reveals. Maybe they solved the case of the creature stalking the village, but now they've uncovered yet another mystery through finding answers to this original question. Like, how are these were otters being made? And also, why do they hate soup so much? Because with investigation quests, it's not just about the answer. It's about the process, the discoveries, the twists, the theories, the red herrings. And when that process is fun, the players won't want these mysteries to end. Another popular type of discovery quest is the destination quest. These quests are all about reaching a specific, often legendary location. One that's hidden, dangerous, or might not even exactly exist. But it's not just about go here. The real hook is in how to find it, but also in what the party might discover once they get there. These quests are incredible for adding thematic weight to your campaign. Maybe the journey challenges what the players thought that they knew. Maybe it's a one-way trip, a point of no return. Maybe the destination holds the truth behind a long-standing mystery, or even the key to stopping a major threat. Destination quests are also amazing tools for tying together loose ends from different character backstories or quests, connecting different faction conflicts, and for getting to drip out world-building hooks as players make their way through this journey. You don't even need to over-explain it. Just have a tavern NPC tell the players, there's a floating city. but it only appears after you perform a bizarre, ancient ritual involving goats, moonlight, and interpretive dance. Or plant them in a city bordering a forbidden zone, one sealed away by old magic. Nobody's ever come back from it, and in fact, nobody even knows what's in there anymore. That's all it takes. The mystery, the danger, and you can even sweeten the deal a bit with the promise of something big. Knowledge, power, a world-shifting secret, that's the bait. So if you're looking for a major turning point in your story, a destination quest can absolutely deliver that epic, campaign-defining moment that you're looking for. Next up, we have interaction quests. At their core, these are about player NPC engagement. If they like it, they'll go and put a ring on it. Yeah, okay, not that kind of engagement. This is all about social interaction where words, influence, and reputation can change everything. These can lend themselves to a ton of different objectives, whether it's swaying a faction, building an alliance, or exposing a city official's corruption. These quests are all about social and political maneuvering. Maybe the party's tasked with brokering peace between two rival factions. Maybe they need to convince a noble to fund their expedition. Or maybe they're infiltrating a very elite social circle in order to manipulate events from the inside. These are low on combat, but still high on tension. And that's because the danger here is a lot more personal. One wrong word, one failed persuasion check, and all of a sudden everything could shift drastically. So these are obviously very prevalent in intrigue-based campaigns, but they can be great whenever you need a quest with flexible pacing, rich roleplay, and the potential for long-term, long-reaching effects. And don't forget, your party might not agree on how to handle these different situations. These quests are amazing for sparking party tension, introducing a lot of character debates, and just loading up those, wait, you promised what? type of moments. Just make sure to let these disagreements play out in ways that are interesting, not punishing. At least not exclusively punishing. Make sure it fits. When done well, interaction quests can have real stakes. Shifting allegiances, political fallout, faction wars, complete economic collapse. They're the kind of quests that make players feel like they're not just adventurers, but like they're power players, shaping the world at large around themselves. Wrapping up our discovery quests, we've got one that flies under the radar a little bit. But when a player's pursuing it, it can be seriously cool. And that's the Mastery Quest. These quests are usually more tied to a player's personal story arc, or maybe a party's long-term milestone, and at their core they're all about proving, perfecting, or transcending some aspect of themselves. And this doesn't have to be just through combat. It can also be through magic, crafting, knowledge, or even reputation. A few classic examples of what this type of quest might look like include a paladin facing trial by combat against a legendary warrior, a wizard inventing a brand new spell through study and experimentation, or a fighter forging a legendary weapon through materials that they've collected across their journeys. And these quests are particularly amazing in sandbox or hybrid style campaigns, ones where there's no central arc giving players any sort of real direction. They give your players a personal goal to chase in these situations. And more importantly, they give them a sense of ownership over their level of progression. They can also give your players the opportunity to get really creative and work with you on these things. It's the opportunity to do really cool stuff together, because leveling up is cool, but inventing your own spell? Way cooler. These are narrative tailor payoffs. Custom rewards that reflect what the character actually cares about, not just random loot drops. And they encourage your players to go deep into your world. Who do they need to impress to get trained? What runes might hold that lost ritual? What faction is hoarding this secret ingredient? These boons and complications on a mastery quest can come from anywhere. Rival NPCs, dangerous locales, political obstacles, and if the player pulls it all off, they might not just get a cool ability, they might get legacy. Maybe in the form of a spellbook that's passed on, or a stronghold that continues to live on in the world, or maybe an apprentice that shows up in a future campaign. Last but not least, we have the instantly recognizable
kill quests.
Yes, you have to say it in that voice. These quests are usually pretty straightforward. Eliminate the target, monster, NPC, faction leader, It doesn't matter. They're hired to handle it. Clean, simple. But when done right, Kill quests can be way more strategic, story-driven, and morally complex than they first might appear. These quests are already naturally high stakes, but the real magic happens when you layer in things like political fallout, faction tension, or moral uncertainty. So some ways you might introduce a quill quest to your party include a town begs the party to take out the beast terrorizing their forest. A cult agent must be quietly assassinated before they figure out the secret to completing their ritual. Or you can even take a more Wild West approach and have a town bulletin with bounties. But are they all guilty? And is murder the same as justice? Kill quests shine when the target is more than just a stat block. Maybe they have important information. Maybe they're beloved by a certain faction. Maybe the real question is, do they have to die? You want this tension to build up before the fight. During the recon, the planning, the arguments about how to best approach it. Because when the players realize the real challenge isn't just about combat, it's in the choice, that's when a kill quest can really become great. So let's talk about survival quests. A brutal little subset of kill quests that flip the usual formula on its head. These quests aren't about taking down a target. They're about enduring something that is actively trying to take down your party first. Instead of your party hunting a monster, the monster is hunting your party. While the party can focus on trying to win combat in a more traditional sense, this type of quest is usually less win the fight and more survive long enough until something hopefully happens. Whether that's until help arrives, or until dawn breaks, or until the gate opens, or maybe even until a ritual is finished. These quests work best when the threat is too strong, too relentless, or just way too plentiful to take on head to head. That's where survival quests get fun. It's not just about combat, it's about creative problem solving under pressure. Maybe your party realizes far too late that this dungeon is completely overrun and they need to escape. Or maybe they get stuck in the Feywild and have to survive there until somebody notices and reopens the portal for them. Or maybe they need to fend off waves of aberrations while trying to figure out what the source they're coming from is and shut it all down. These quests shift the vibe from offense to endurance. And this forces players to use different tools and different skill sets, whether that be traps, stealth, or even environmental controls like barriers. Maybe they'll need to think smarter about their resource management, or even shift their entire normal group strategy, leading to more emotionally heightened roleplay under this burden of stress. This sort of pressure cooker scenario is really kind of perfect for anyone wanting more tense scenes, the opportunity for their players to have surprise hero moments, or the chance to deepen party bonds. These quests are also great reminders that not every threat is meant to be conquered. Some are meant to be avoided or endured. Protect quests are another version of kill quests that focus on the party holding the line. It's a quest all about safeguarding a person, place, or object from an imminent threat, whether that's a full-on siege, an ambush, or stealthy assassins targeting an NPC. The party doesn't need to necessarily defeat this enemy outright. The win condition is all about keeping the target safe. You can scale this up. Maybe the party needs to deal with a siege in a full-on Helm's Deep mode kind of way, or defend a village during a monster's seasonal migration, or you can scale it back down. Maybe they need to guard a magical artifact from theft during a nobles conference, or keep the groom alive during the wedding, where poisoning your political rivals is practically tradition. And again, these quests are the type that particularly really shine when the players have something more personal to protect, but you can also layer in moral dilemmas, terrain-based tension, like how do they defend the groom in this giant flippin' ballroom? And it's just great for having a ton of reactive play colliding with high-stakes planning. And a few ways to make Protect quests even more engaging can include using escalating threats. As the clock ticks, the enemies get even bolder, throwing in lots of unpredictable variables, because your party will have a great plan, but plans go sideways. Reinforcements don't always show, or maybe the NPC has a plan-altering secret they're not sharing. They can also be enhanced by using multiple fronts. The players can't be everywhere, so make them choose. What do they protect and what do they risk? Protect quests are really great for any time you want to force players to think on their feet, for turning combat into a more emotional, story-driven event, and for offering a rare moment of contrast, where the goal isn't just to slay the enemy, it's to save something that matters. And finally, we have Destroy Quests, which are less about killing some sort of living target and more about ending some sort of artifact. These quests focus on eliminating a dangerous, corrupting, or overwhelmingly powerful force for good. Think Frodo and the One Ring. It's not just keeping it away from the enemy, but making sure that nobody can ever use it again. Destroy quests usually target objects like cursed artifacts, grimoires of forbidden magic, ancient relics tied to world-ending events, and are perfect for when you want your players to do more than just fight. You want them to prepare, to research, struggle, and ultimately to make a decision. Maybe they need a rare ritual. Maybe this item can only be destroyed in a specific place. Or maybe it's protected by something that doesn't really want it gone. But a lot of the juicy stuff that this type of quest brings is related to this idea of temptation. What if the item grants power? What if using it could help them win? Just this once. That makes these quests amazing for character development and exploration. Which members of the party are going to do what's needed without hesitation? Who does hesitate? And who thinks that they can control it? Destroy quests are great for raising the stakes, because success might change the world. And failure? It might break it. These are great for those big, overarching quest type of arcs. Ones that build over time, step by step, until your party reaches that final, irreversible moment. So hopefully you're starting to see how these quests might overlap, mix, and evolve into something way more than the label alone suggests. A fetch quest might turn into a survival quest. A kill quest can have interaction or mystery quest layers baked in. And combining them, that's how you create arcs that feel fresh, flexible, and custom built for your party. Remember, this list isn't a rulebook. It's just another tool in your toolbox. You can level up any of these quests by making sure to include the but and therefore principles from my South Park DM tips video, or even by exploring different modifiers and complications with a quest being the base. You might decide to use time modifiers, like countdown clocks or windows of opportunity, or maybe a success-failure modifier, like threshold tracking, where the party needs to either get X amount of successes or avoid Y amount of failures in order to succeed, or maybe even condition modifiers, environmental modifiers, or event modifiers. You've really got a ton of ways to make each of these quests your own. So tell me below in the comments what your favorite type of quest is, and if this helped you feel more confident about building quests or about improvising them at your table. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out these videos next.